Welcome to Down the Road with me, Joel Heitkamp. During this legislative session, we've been able to count on Karla Rose Hanson for a lot of the information that we get. She's a state representative, and she represents a college district. She's in North Fargo, and you know what? We're going to need to talk to her about some tough things that they're throwing on our research facilities. So let's bring her in. Representative Rose Hanson, good to have you on Down the Road with us.
Thank you so much, Joel.
You got any gray hair? Talk to me about this. You ready to rip your hair out? We're at the end of this session.
Yeah, the number of gray hairs have increased dramatically over the last 4 months.
Don't blame you. I don't. This has been just one weird session, you know, and do not take this the wrong way, but you serve on the House side, and in my 14 years on the Senate side, whatever would come over from the House that was more or less ridiculous, which easily could happen with this majority. We used to be able to have a check and balance when it came to the Senate. That's not true anymore. I mean, some of these ideologues, these Bastiats in the Senate, they are now in control.
That's right, Joel. You know, a few months ago during the November 2020 election, we lost a couple of very great statesmen in the North Dakota Senate. Some Democrats who represented rural districts. They were very moderate. And instead, we have some real extreme views that replace them. And it's really changed the makeup of the Senate. And we've seen a lot of extreme legislation pass the Senate as a result. And it's really been unfortunate. I
was actually approached by a Republican state senator that I know quite well. I served with him, respect him. You know, I think that his heart and soul is about doing good for North Dakota and not moving it backwards, but moving it forwards. And he said to me, he goes, "You have no idea what this is like without Jim Dutzenrod and John Grabinger and Larry Robinson." And I said to him, I said, you know, that falls on your party. I mean, you went all in for these wacko candidates. You really did. And you funded them and you promoted them. And maybe it's time to take a step back and ask yourself what you're really doing. And I don't know if you've picked up on some regret that the majority party, the Republicans in the Senate, might have.
Well, we certainly hear those types of conversations in both chambers about the frustration that the Republican Party has with some of its members. And to be clear, and you've made this clear on your show, Joe, these are Republicans, even though they might identify also with the Bastiat caucus. And this is their problem. And as a result, this is their mess that they need to clean up.
Well, we're going to give an example of just that mess that really hurts Representative Rose Hanson's district. But before we do that, these folks are going around the state. I mean, they are going around last Saturday at the Frying Pan in Wahpeton. Our state senator from our district, which wasn't even from and isn't even from that district, they're holding double secret meetings that they think we're too foolish to catch them on, trying to get rid of the moderate Republicans. Cindy Schreiber-Beck is under attack in the Wahpeton area from these folks. And, you know, from my standpoint, I wonder if the public's going to pick up on the fact that some of these legislators are being targeted by their own.
Well, it's really true, Joel, that there's been a lot of meetings happening across the state, the district reorg meetings that happen within a political party where I would say a vocal minority is getting more active. And as you know, decisions are made by the people who show up. And the noise that this vocal minority is making is affecting how some of the sitting lawmakers are voting on some of these key issues. And I think we can look no further than Senate Bill 2030. That's a bill that started out as a great bill. It started out as funding the Challenge Grant program. And this is a program that gives all the university foundations, not the universities themselves, but the foundations, the opportunity to get $1 from the state for every $2 that they raise from the private sector. So it's a wonderful way to amplify private donations. And this money goes toward student scholarships. So we can make college more affordable for students. Well, that was hijacked in the Senate by some of the kind of extreme lawmakers that you've highlighted on your show before, Senator Jana Myrdal taking the lead on that, to become these amendments were really an anti-Planned Parenthood, anti-NDSU effort. And the latest news on that is that the latest version of this bill, which became actually even worse over time, has passed both chambers of the legislature, and within the day or within the next day or so, it will head to the governor's desk. And how lawmakers voted on that is certainly shaped by some of the more extreme members of this chamber, but also by that loud minority that might be back home pressuring the lawmakers.
And I wonder whether or not the minority, or they are the minority anymore, because it seems as though they have the same attitude that the Republican Party has taken up in this Trump era, that the lead comes from Donald Trump, that there isn't that foundation of planks in the platform that we actually believe in anymore. The dictate comes from above. It doesn't come from their grassroots. Jana Myrdal is the most powerful North Dakota state senator that they have now on the majority side. And that's scary. That is really scary to me, because 2030 is a perfect example. She turned a good piece of legislation about research into something that goes in a whole different direction. And I want to make sure I understand this. So the goal of the research that was being done at NDSU was to reduce teenage pregnancies. And if you reduce teenage pregnancies, you reduce abortions. And so if the goal was to reduce abortions, then why did she go after this research?
That's right, Joel. It doesn't make any sense if you actually look at what research says, which is evidence-based sex education is proven to reduce unplanned pregnancies and therefore abortion. So it does make no sense. And you brought up the plank of the Republican Party, the platform. It makes no sense that the party of small government is now telling us around the state who can make decisions around implementing mask mandates, who can play sports, and what subjects that our higher ed institutions can actually do research on. It makes no sense that they involve themselves in all those different decisions, because that's not small government.
There's another part to all of this as well. That same Jana Myrdal I had on my radio show, and one of the big movements that she had, one of the big goals for this legislative session, she achieved, which is to make sure the 10 Commandments are up on the wall in every classroom. Now, here's the part of all that. I asked her what the 10 Commandments were. I said, can you recite the 10 Commandments? And she said, well, that's just a game. And I said, no, it's not a game. If you want that up on the wall in every classroom, it seems to me that you should know what they are. I said you don't even have to recite them in order. I just want to know if you know them. She didn't. She got to about 5, Representative Rose Hanson. And so that's the people that are setting the agenda. Now, I have to ask you this, because you hear from NDSU a lot. That's where your district is. In terms of NDSU being one of the lead research institutions across the state, doesn't this take away from that? Doesn't this on a national scale put NDSU in a position where their peer institutions and people nationally are saying, why would we invest money there? That, if their research is going to be dictated and mandated by the state legislature and ultra-conservatives in the state legislature, then how do we know we're getting good research?
That's right, Joel. There's incredibly huge concern by the constituents in North Fargo related to Senate Bill 2030. Senate Bill 2030 represents the worst of political interference with academic freedom. And academic freedom is protected by the First Amendment of our Constitution. And it's also a core to accreditation as well. So there is no doubt in my mind that if 2030 becomes law, we will have a huge challenge in attracting and retaining faculty, staff, and students to NDSU and other higher ed institutions in North Dakota. And with that comes research dollars as well. When you lose a researcher, that often entails losing their research dollars and their grants that they've attracted as well. So it's not just about the Planned Parenthood partnership anymore. This could be about the different science areas that North Dakota State is involved in. It really sets a bad precedent, and that's what faculty and staff are really concerned about right now.
I'm going to go down a road I'm not sure you want to go down. Okay, so there's your fair warning. On any given football game, President Dean Bashani of NDSU is sitting in the booth with all the players on a big time scale. I mean, he has the governor in there, he has senators in there, he has congressmen in there, he has the chairman of the Republican Party in there. I mean, it's a real Republican paced here. I want to be around you, big shots, kind of a suck up. But he isn't able to protect his staff. And there's a lot of word coming my way from his staff that they don't feel that he supported them. And so do you want to take a crack at that? Do you want to say that, look, the president of NDSU and the Higher Education Board needed to deal themselves a stronger hand here?
Joel, I think I've tuned into some of the conference committees over in the House side over time, and then, of course, the conference committee that resulted on 2030. And there were certainly some efforts to make clear that it's important for NDSU to maintain academic freedom. It's important to accreditation. It's important to retaining our staff and faculty and attracting students. I do know that some faculty and students felt like that message could have been stronger. It could have been, more could have been done to protect some of its staff and faculty that are doing this work right now.
But here's my point. If that's your whole card, if that's your boy, I've got this guy as a friend and I sucked up to him and, you know, he got all the free beer I could possibly get him. If that's your goal, then you should be able to count on him. And this is on the governor's desk now. So we're going to find out whether that free lunch was worth it or not when it comes to Governor Burgum. And again, I'll keep you out of that. Close to the end, where are we at?
Well, Joel, the compromises are slow coming in the conference committees. As you know, this is when all the different appropriations committees are finalizing all the details on the big last bills. So the commerce bill, the human services bills, those are some of the big ones we have left. But there's also shenanigans that happened in the last few days. As you know, bills can be hog-housed. There's efforts even today with perhaps a last minute bill trying to be approved on the floor of the House again. And so these are the kind of distractions that don't use the actual process that should be used to give a full and fair hearing to some of these ideas that really distract us from the real priorities that North Dakotans care about. And it's delaying our work on those important things.
Well, keep fighting the good fight. You can always dye your hair. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Representative Rose Hanson, thanks for giving us time.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Joel.
We're going to head to Winnipeg right after this. We're going to find out the mutual agreements between Manitoba and North Dakota, get some traffic going across. We need lumber. I want lumber for my project. So stick around. More coming your way as we head down the road.
Howdy folks, it's a Canline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hay-Boston breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at a salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous Canline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon-rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more.
Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-219-1467.
Hi, Hunter Ellis here for Night Hero Binoculars by Atomic Beam. These binoculars let you see anything, even in pitch black darkness. Gotcha. The secrets are powerful wide-angle atomic beam laser that reveals objects up to 150 yards away, hidden by darkness. During the day, Night Hero gives you 10 times magnification. And when the sun goes down, press the Night Bright button to see clearly in the dark. Light up garbage-eating critters or spot thieves before they even get close. Call or click now and get Night Hero binoculars for just $39.99. Order right now and you can double it. Plus, get our best-selling atomic beam flashlight. Just pay a separate fee. We'll even ship them to you free. This TV special offer is not available on Amazon. You can get it all, but you have to order now.
Call 1-800-619-1091. That's 1-800-619-1091. Or visit bynighthero.com. That's bynighthero.com. Order now.
Attention! Have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug Almiron for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked Almiron, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call Almiron Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
Welcome back to Down the Road. When I think of Manitoba and I think of somebody that knows it, Richard Cloutier is just that. CJOB. He's a good old radio guy, just like me, and so that's his passion. That's what he does for a living. And Richard, I need you on News and Views because I got a whole lot of questions about trade, and we need Canada back in our lives. Good to have you coming down the road with us.
Well, it's great to have to be with you, and Manitoba has to thank you big time, because North Dakota is helping our truckers who go between Manitoba and North Dakota in the United States, because 4,000 Canadian truckers are getting vaccinated thanks to you folks in North Dakota. You have a lot of vaccine, we don't, and our Canadian truckers who've been doing these cross-border long hauls forever since the pandemic, they are eligible to stop in near Drayton at the rest area there to get their vaccine. So we thank you so very much.
So, Richard, I know you know the geography, but I want to make sure we're all on the same page. I live 65 miles just about straight south of Fargo, so I drive 130 miles to work every day, which, you know, from living where we live, you can do that in a pretty fast fashion, probably too fast.
You get to listen to the radio on your way.
Exactly. So, but here's the deal. I pass semis. You know, semis usually don't drive the speed limit, and neither do I. But I pass semis, and what I see and I look for more and more are those license plates, are those names on the doors that are from Canada, and I'm seeing more of it. So what you said is definitely true.
Good. Yeah, and I think, while so many of us in Canada were feeling really tough for you folks when you were in the thick of things, when your COVID rates were through the roof, we're in our third wave now. We have new restrictions that go into effect tomorrow. We're not getting vaccinated quickly enough. There's about 30% of Manitobans that have had their first shot. The overwhelming majority of them are in personal care homes or above the age of 65, or frontline healthcare workers. And we're being patient, but we have lost our patience in many ways. And that's because we don't manufacture vaccines in Canada. We are relying on places in Europe, and we are relying now on the United States for more vaccine to come in. Not just the Pfizer, but the AstraZeneca vaccine. And the Biden administration is giving us more of access to those vaccines, and we're very thankful for that. But we're not looking at getting fully vaccinated until towards the end of June. And so right now, those variants of concern, mainly the B1117, the UK variant, that's hitting us hard right now. And our cases have climbed here in Manitoba. They've skyrocketed in Ontario, in the Toronto area. There's no ICU capacity. I spoke with a doctor the other day who has roots in Winnipeg, who's on the front lines in Toronto, and having to decide which patients from the ICU they send up to Ottawa, which is 4 hours away from Toronto. There's another hot spot in Alberta, and we have our fingers crossed that we won't have those types of problems here in Manitoba. But this third wave is hitting us hard.
Last time I talked to you, we were talking about the policies that Canada had put into place versus the U.S. And there's no question whatsoever that you took COVID far more serious than what the Trump administration did. You did. You took steps that many thought were extreme. And some said, no, we need to do this. Did those steps go away? Did Canada make a mistake? Aside from not having the vaccine as quickly as what you'd hope to get it and should get it, has Canada made some mistakes here?
We have. In the first wave, we didn't protect our seniors and personal care homes well enough. There were policies across the country that allowed nurses and staff to work from one personal care home to the other, and that helped spread the virus. And once it got into our senior population, you saw record deaths. The majority of the deaths over the age of 65 and up in our personal care homes. During the second wave last fall, there was the sense that we didn't shut things down quickly enough. We've always had this balance, and you know that, between shutting it down and keeping businesses open. The belief here was that we missed that by about 2 weeks. And now in the third wave, there's that similar belief that we should have shut things down a whole lot quicker as a result. And again, you're trying to balance business with COVID. But the good thing about the third wave, if there is a good thing, our seniors are vaccinated, younger people are getting it. It is spreading a whole lot quicker. But with the vaccine and with youth on your side, the ICU capacity isn't an issue here in Manitoba yet. So we're hoping that we can get enough vaccines into people in the next couple of months that this is only going to be about a month of further lockdowns. In fact, the next round of lockdowns, which still allow retailers to open at 25%, but you can't have visitors over. You cannot have anybody over to your house. And that's frustrating for a lot of people, given the fact that the weather has turned, and given the fact that we were telling people in January, February, just hang on till April, May, and everything will be okay. Well, it's end of April, and everything's not okay.
Yeah. You know, and here's the thing. Obviously, you know, the human side, the loss of life, everything that goes with it, you know, that is number one. But in the case of the United States of America, we've opened it up. I mean, if you want a shot, you go in and have a shot if you're 16 years of age or older. And so there's no excuse if you believe in being vaccinated that you aren't. We're not coming back in many cases for the second shot. We're not going in many cases in some of the most conservative areas. That's the whole big issue down south for you. The opening up, the getting Canada vaccinated has a huge factor on trade. We rely on you. I mean, we rely on you. Those trucks that are coming south, we need. And so the price on what you're hauling down south, we realize that's going to be, you know, elevated for a while. And you're not sitting there building lumber when you can't get paid for it. I understand that as well, but there has to be an incentive at Drayton to get everybody vaccinated.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, we miss going down to the Fargo Dome for concerts. We miss going on our shopping weekends. And I get asked constantly, when do you think the border is going to be open again? And I'm still telling people it's going to be September. That I think that we're not going to get that 70% herd immunity until sometime during this summer. A good barometer for us has been the Canadian Football League. The CFL did not play last year. Unlike the NFL, which played, our Canadian Football League didn't play. And now they've put the season back to August 5th, and they're hoping by August that they can have a season. And in the CFL, you need bums in the seats. So they think that by August, September, we'll still be wearing masks, we'll still be social distancing, but there'll be enough herd immunity on both sides of the border that perhaps by then we can open things up. But until then, it's going to be more of the same. And unfortunately, we're still going to be talking about the what ifs and the scenarios. And boy, I wish we could go to Fargo, and I wish we could entertain a lot of North Dakotans on the patios of Corden Avenue. But hang on a little while longer.
I have a new producer. She's never been to Winnipeg, and I told her that is
Come on up.
Inexcusable. That
on
is
me.
Absolutely inexcusable, and we're going to fix that once you tell us that we're welcome to come there. Plus, I like the fact that you used the word bums. I've used other words for that. So, Richard, let's do this again. Thanks for coming on with us.
Joel, it's always a pleasure. Hang in there, folks, and we're hanging in there too. And I look forward to having a few brewskis with you at your local watering hole sometime later this year.
I'm buying because I owe you. Thank you, Richard. Appreciate it.
You bet.
When we come back, Kevin Iverson's going to join us. He headed up the census in North Dakota. We've gained bums. So stick around. We're going to talk about it when we come back.
Hey everybody, I'm Doug Billings, your host of The Right Side with Doug Billings on Beck News. We bring you high-profile guests, ladies and gentlemen, exclusive guests. Now, you're not going to see these guests in most of the mainstream media outlets. Another thing that I do here is give guests a platform to speak freely. You're not going to see me censor anybody. Please join us, won't you? Weeknights right here on Beck TV and online at beck.news. Cheers.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream sheets. When you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Introducing the Cool Turtle, the ultra-comfortable mask enhancer that creates a protective, cool, and breathable space between your mask and your face. Simply slide under any mask or gaiter and immediately feel the refreshing pocket of air surrounding your face. Cool Turtle's ergonomically designed soft, comfortable shell immediately reduces mask friction, allowing you to breathe and talk in a comfortable environment.
I can actually breathe. With the Cool Turtle, no more sweating.
It's like I don't even have a mask on.
Call now and get not one, not two, but 3 Cool Turtles for just $10. Order now and we'll send you 2 more Cool Turtles free. No fees, absolutely free. Plus, you can get a 10-pack of 4-ply face masks. Just pay a separate fee. This offer is not available on Amazon. Get the real Cool Turtle now.
Call 1-800-270-1219. That's 1-800-270-1219. Or visit getcoolturtle.com. Order now.
Indoor football is back in Bismarck. Bucks football season is right around the corner. Grab a friend or family member for a night of action-packed, hard-hitting entertainment. The Bucks open at the Bismarck Event Center May 8th as they take on the Massachusetts Pirates. Catch the sweetest seats in the house right on the sidelines with VIP service at a Bucks turf table. Available now for single game purchases. Secure your tickets today by calling 701-595-0771. Bucks football, half the field and double the fun.
Beck Communications is hiring. Beck Communications is now seeking qualified applicants for promotion commercial producer position in our Bismarck Beck location. This position will assist Beck News and Beck Sports. To view the job details, visit www.beck.coop. To apply, email your cover letter and resume to careers@bechtel.coop. Beck Communications, making connections that matter.
Well, I got to ask you, are you good at math? Are you good at adding up? Are you good at asking questions? Well, our next guest is. Kevin Iverson joins us right now. Kevin was the manager of the North Dakota State Data Center, which means that he was the boss when it came to the census. Let's bring him in and get a chance to visit with him. Kevin, good to have you coming down the road with us.
Hey, Joel, thanks for having me on.
The census is out. So the obvious first question is, does it feel good? Does it feel good to have finally reached that point?
Well, it certainly feels good to get our first response or first indication of where we're at. Yesterday was our first numbers, and all we got was a state total for the state. We don't have anything at the county or city level yet, but we have the state total. So that's really good. And the number we got was much better than I expected. So it was good news.
When you look at North Dakota, and when I was growing up, the numbers in North Dakota were going south in terms of what our state population is. That's not the case anymore. We seem to be growing as a state. I know that our bigger metro areas are looking strong, and of course we've got the oil patch, but walk me through where we're at as North Dakota when it comes to our population and where some of those growth areas are.
So what the census numbers that were released yesterday showed that we are at 779,094 individuals as of April 1st, 2020. And so that's up in a decade of more than 106,503. So it is the second highest growth that we've seen in any decade in recorded history. I shouldn't say quite recorded history, but since between 1900 and 1910. So the growth for us was phenomenal. We were the fourth fastest growing state this past decade.
So you knew when you started down that road that there were going to be people that didn't answer the survey. There always are. Now in New York, there are 89 census reports or individuals short of keeping a congressional district. So it's quite important.
That's got to hurt.
Yeah, it's got to hurt. I mean, there's 89 people that didn't do what they were supposed to do. But, is there any guess on what that percentage is? The numbers being in North Dakota being that high. But if I don't know if it's a guess on your part, if it's just science behind the data, but how many people in North Dakota do you think didn't answer the survey?
Well, that's a great question. We'll get data. The Census Bureau will release a number of studies that will give us indications of what that is. What I can tell you, the studies after 2010 said that we had about a 3% non-response rate, or people just were missed for a variety of reasons. But the good news is it was made up by a number of people that were double counted. For instance, college students that were counted at their college location, but also at their home address. So we very, very barely and very slightly made up for what we would have had for an undercount. The way I kind of look at that is getting people counted in the census, that's our responsibility. Getting those people sorted out, that's the Census Bureau's job. I don't worry about that. I let them worry about that part.
Okay, I understand it. Let me ask you this. Joel and Sue Heitkamp got what I used to call the long form. I don't know if that's part of the census or not, but there's a lot of questions they asked, a lot of questions that some people might not be comfortable answering. We were. I think we understood the importance of getting that information out because of the money that we wanted our state to have coming in. But ours took a little while to fill out. So two questions go along there. What was our survey all about, and how long did the other, what I will call the short form, take to complete?
So let me start off with the census form itself. That's what we just had every household fill out, or ask every household fill out. That's only 10 questions per person. It's age, race, sex, name. Do you own or rent? Is your household owned or housing location owned or rented? And that ethnicity, that's about it. There aren't very many questions. Or I should add, what is your relationship to the household? For instance, the second person, was it the wife of the first person that's listed, or the husband of the first person that's listed, or a child, and so on? Or were you an unrelated individual living in the household? Very few questions. spins. It doesn't ask anything about your income or where you work at, how much money you have, what your occupation and education is. Any of those questions are asked. The long form that you're describing is what's called the American Community Survey. And after Census 2000, it was broken out to a separate survey. It was named the American Community Survey, and it was sent to 1% of households per year. And that's a much more detailed report. You know, the census counts the number of individuals. The American Community Survey asks, how do we live? You know, how many people are in poverty? How many people have what level of education? What occupations are they in? Are they disabled? Are they a veteran? And, you know, because society or the government needs to know, you know, where's that location of veterans? You know, if we're going to set up a new veterans clinic, knowing that concentration of veterans is really important, so that we can put that in the right location. It doesn't do any good to put it where no veterans are located or very few veterans are located, and so that's why those questions are asked.
Kevin, I want to talk about a national scale because we know the numbers in North Dakota were good. We also know that the numbers in Montana were so good that they actually gained a congressional district. But if you look at some of the numbers across the country, I mean, I believe this is the first time since statehood that California actually lost a seat. And you look at the southern tier of our nation, and you look at Texas, you look at Florida, obviously some gains there. So overall, when you look at what the census results are, what does it tell you?
Well, domestic outmigration or domestic migration was really the significant factor. Certainly it was a factor in our growth. People moving from one state to another. It seemed to be moving out of New York and California, more into Texas, North Dakota, Utah. Of course, Utah also had a very large natural growth, children being born, that drove their numbers this decade. So domestic migration was the biggest factor in those population changes per state.
When you look at, and guys, go back to that chart, I just want to point out a couple of things, because these congressional seats, and obviously we talked about money and what that money can mean, but you look at these congressional seats, there's a lot of people talking about red state, blue state, what this means with the Electoral College and how important these congressional seats are. But I have to ask this, you know, do you know the ethnicity of those individuals that made up for larger numbers? For example, I've been to Texas a number of times, and the Hispanic community is growing. And so when you assume that it's a red state and these must be red congressional districts, is that always true?
You know, I don't know. I really don't know the answer. And, you know, the demographics really don't measure people whether by political affiliation. We're just trying to count the number of individuals that are there, and their ethnicity and race. It's really intended to be apolitical as possible.
Well, and I know that, and I shouldn't have asked you that question, but more than anything, I wanted people to think about it when they look at some of these numbers, because you know, the Electoral College is where it's going to play out, and obviously in the halls of Congress is where it's going to play out, but it's going to play out money-wise too. And just before you've got to go, you know, can you explain to people money-wise how important some of these numbers are?
Yeah, as the chart behind me shows, this is the chart we used for the advertising the Census 2000, and per person, and this is based on George Washington University's Counting for Dollars program. They estimated the economic impact in 2015 of a single person in North Dakota was $1,910. Well, you multiply that for the decade, and it's $19,100 per person. So for every household we potentially missed, we were talking more than $44,000, because again, the census is done by the household. We count the number of individuals in a housing unit. So financially, it's huge. You know, the census is not calculated or included when you pay your federal income taxes, but it's sure calculated when we get the distribution back by the areas. This figure, $1,910 per person in 2015, that only included the top 16 federal programs. There were actually 316 programs that used census numbers to calculate the distribution of funds. And so whether we like it or not, money from the federal government is huge. It has a huge local impact. And the best way we have to ensure that we get our tax dollars back is to be included in the decennial census.
Kevin, it's a tough job, but you got it done. And the staff, I know you have been very appreciative of. I'll mention one, Louise Dardis. I've known Louise for a while, and she was a good member of your team. And most importantly, you hired a redhead. And if you want a job done right, you hired a redhead, right?
I got a grandson who's a redhead, so I certainly appreciate that. He's one terrific hockey player.
Okay. Thanks for what you did, Kevin.
Yeah, Linda and Louise did an awesome job for us. They were the co-chairs of the task force. They were really the leaders. I was the support staff in this process.
Yeah, well, you did a good job. Kevin, thanks for coming down the road with us.
Yeah, thank you.
He's got a grandson that's a good hockey player. What's that tell you? He goes back to the grandson, just like I always do. The grandson and granddaughter. When we come back, let's talk about what's happening in the legislature. Let's talk about Senate Bill 2030 right after this.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors. Use your promo code, and for a limited time, when you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Not attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
Seniors, are you aware that you could pay less for your car insurance?
Seniors can save money on their car insurance.
You might save a little, you might save a lot.
Maybe hundreds of dollars a year.
You might save 5% a year, maybe 10%, 15%, or even more.
That's a lot of money.
So call right now and find out just how much money you might be able to save.
1-800-699-0761. 1-800-699-0761.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more. Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-219-1467.
Watch No Filter with me, Debbie Schlussel, for no-nonsense, unfiltered analysis of the news that matters to you. You'll see engaging guests.
It began a 444-day nightmare.
Entertaining analysis. And it has everything to do with something that happened in history. And honest movie reviews. Trust me, this is just atrocious. No Filter with Debbie, weeknights at 10 p.m. Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Welcome back. I want to read a statement from Senator Kevin Cramer. He says, I do not plan to be in Washington, D.C. this week as I attend to family matters. Over the weekend, my mother, Clarice Cramer, peacefully passed away after having lived with Alzheimer's disease. Our family appreciates the messages of comfort and support we have already received. We are grateful, and we're grateful we're able to have spent time with our mom during her last days on earth before she went home to be reunited with her husband in the Lord, Kevin Kramer. You know, I just want to make sure that we put out to the Kramer family, Kevin, and everyone in his family, our sympathies. Yeah, I know how important his mother was to him. I've known Kevin since high school. And, you know, there's nothing like the loss of your mother. There isn't. And so our sympathies from the down the road family. Want to talk a little bit, if we can, about Senate Bill 2030, which earlier in today's show you heard Karla Rose Hanson speak to. Now, here's what I want you to remember. I want you to remember 2 to 1. Remember 2 to 1. And I'm not talking about the amount of legislators and how some of the more moderates are outnumbered. I'm talking about 2 to 1 in terms of dollars. I'm talking about 2 to 1 in terms of what this bill was intended to do, which means that for every $2 that come into this state in challenge grants, $1 gets invested by the state towards that study. That's important. That's important because you can't do and you can't be one of the premier research institutions in the nation unless you back it with money. And then the federal government backs it. So we get $2 for every buck we put in. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. And of course, now what we have is the North Dakota legislature diving into what that research is, as though they're the researchers. Now, when I think of our premier research institutions, and I know research is being done in other places than these two, but the two premier research institutions are the University of North Dakota and North Dakota State University. Now, the reputation of both of those institutions has been tarnished because of Senate Bill 2030. If the governor signs this, they have been tarnished, and I suspect that the governor will sign this. He can do the numbers, and the numbers were veto-proof. And of course, he doesn't want to be seen in any way, shape, or form as supporting abortion. This bill is about ending abortion. This study that was being done at NDSU was a study on how to have less abortions. It was a study that looked at how we can curtail and stop as many teenage pregnancies as what we can. That's what the bill was. The bill was that. Now, one of the not institutions, but one of the groups that focuses on and puts a lot of work behind stopping teenage pregnancies is Planned Parenthood. It is. Now, Planned Parenthood plays other roles. I realize that. Planned Parenthood is a group that supports a woman's right to choose. That being said, the work they do at curbing teenage pregnancies is known not just nationwide, but worldwide. And so they backed some of this research, not in terms of dollars, but in terms of information. So you go to them and you say, all right, what's going on here? What do you know that we don't know? What do you find in your research? That's what they're looking for. It's a research project. And the research is what hopefully gets us to a point where there's no abortions, where less teenage pregnancies happen, where less teenagers' lives are affected forever because of a teenage pregnancy. Because I'm going to tell you something, folks. I'm going to tell you something that I think all of us know, but none of us want to think of. Teenagers have sex. They do. And because of that sex, oftentimes they have babies. Or they choose not to have that baby. Now, that's the reality that we live in right now. You can try to dictate and push your morality on, but it's been going on for years, and it's going to go on for more years. Now, Yana Myrdal and her like in the Senate, and the ones in the House, which you hear one of those oftentimes on this very network, the Bastiat Caucus is really in charge in many ways in the North Dakota legislature. Certainly now when it comes to what they see as moral issues. Well, I think the biggest moral issue is how we could have stopped more teenage pregnancies. Not to mention how we hamstring North Dakota State University, which is the institution that was doing this study. There's another factor in this, and that factor is leadership. It's leadership. It's about being known as one of the premier research institutions in the nation. And if you're going to let the legislature dictate what your research is or what the results of that research are, then you're not a research institution. President Dean Bershani needed to go public in his support for these researchers. If he's going to hang out in his suite at football games with the governor, with the head of the Republican Party, with U.S. senators and the U.S. congressmen, then by God, you know what? Ask for help when you need help. His staff doesn't respect him in large part because of what he let happen here. It's on the governor's desk. Dean Bershani, call him. Call him and encourage the governor to veto this bill. Folks, when we come back, some closing comments for you right here as we go down the road.
Do you worry about going to the dentist? After all, a visit to the dentist can easily cost $2,000 or more. Well, relax. The Carefree Dental Card is now available in your area. Call now and we'll send your actual card at no cost today. With the Carefree Dental Card, you go to the dentist whenever you need and you instantly pay a lot less. Activate your card and you can start using it immediately. From exams and cleanings to more expensive procedures like crowns, dentures, even braces, they're all included with the Carefree Dental Card. Say you go to the dentist today without any card and your bill is, well, ouch. Wait a minute, let's try that again. You go to the dentist today and show your Carefree Dental Card, you save $525. The Carefree Dental Card is just $15.95 a month, so call now and make going to the dentist carefree.
Call 1-800-416-5739 to receive your Carefree Dental Card information kit. 1-800-416-5739. Call now.
I can't say enough good things about these nano hearing aids.
Real people talking about nano hearing aids.
The hearing quality is great.
Until now, hearing aids used to be too expensive for the average person. Until nano. Call now and you'll get your nano hearing aids for only $297. You'll save $100. When you buy one hearing aid, Nano will give you a second hearing aid free. Call right now.
1-800-213-3815.
Spas, etc.
You've come to know and trust us for over 18 years with the largest selection and showroom in Western North Dakota for our beautiful Sundance spas. Plus, you could pick out your next home experience with our selection of pool tables, shuffleboards, and fun accessories.
Spas, etc. Your relaxation destination on Made in Bismarck.
Who do you trust with your digital life? Not all cloud backup providers keep your data truly private. Beck Cloud Backup uses advanced multi-layer encryption to keep your family photos, videos, and sensitive business documents secure and only for your eyes. Your Beck Lightband Internet service already includes 50 gigs of free storage to keep your digital life safe and secure. Call us at 701-475-2361 to start using your Beck Cloud Backup today.
Attention! Have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug Almiron for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked Almiron, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call Almiron Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
You know, it's fun taking these trips with you down the road here on Beck News. You know, you get a chance to get at least my side of the opinion out, my side of the aisle. So I appreciate that. I want to see how many of you, when I say Dean Werner, does it click with you? What do you think of? You know, Dean Werner. Well, if you're a fan of Animal House, which I've only seen it probably, I don't know, somewhere close to 100 times, then you know who Dean Werner is. And you would also know, if you can recite every line, what double secret probation is, right? You're on double secret probation. Well, when you take a look at what's going on now and you take a look at where people are at, you have to wonder if that isn't what's happening in North Dakota. If you're sitting there saying the big eye of government is upon you, you're on double secret probation, because you know what? If you don't do exactly what we say at a local level, you're in trouble, because we are the kings. We're God, and you have to listen to everything we say. I hope some of these municipalities, and I hope, well, the governor kind of has through a couple of vetoes, but I hope some of the North Dakota people basically tell them to shove it. I do. I hope they tell them where to get off the train. Because when you look at what they're doing to our state, and you look at really what they're showing this nation that we are in today's time, it's an issue. It's a real issue. And it will stop industry from coming here. You'll never know who didn't come, because they're not going to put out a press release saying, well, we looked at North Dakota, but so many of the Yana Myrdals are wacko in the head, so we're just not going to go there. They're just not going to say that, but they're not going to go there. And when you have people, and I've mentioned his name before, but Jason Heitkamp this weekend held a double secret meeting in Wahpeton, North Dakota at the Frying Pan to find a way to get rid of Cindy Schreiber Beck. Now, who's that? She's a Republican, just like he is. But she isn't conservative enough for him. She's not. She actually supports higher education. And so, you know what? Unless you're going to toe the line, unless you're going to do exactly what the Bastiats want you to do, which there's other names for them. I get that. There's other names that a lot of people are using for them. Unless you do what the new Trump mentality is, we're going to gut you. We're going to do what we can to make sure you never survive. And I think people got to stand up and tell them where to get off the train. And there's other words I can use to describe what needs to happen to them. Good ride with you, folks.